Hello, everybody. Oh, you already know what time it is. It's time for the Purpose Conversation. I am Juva Alexander, the host of this so amazing live podcast, you guys. The Purpose Conversation. Welcome to season dos, season two of the live podcast, The Purpose Conversation. Woo! Oh my goodness. Well, tonight is going to be absolutely phenomenal. I have to first and foremost say hello. And you know what? You guys, today happens to be a very special day for me. It is J15. And for those of you who know, J15 is January 15th. Y'all like, of course, I know it's January 15th. But what is significant about this particular day is that it is the day in which my sorority has turned, my sorority has turned 115 years old. And anyway, I am just so excited. So I have to say, first of all, congratulations and happy Founders Day to my sorors. That's right. All of my sorors of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Ski we are 115 years old today, guys. So, congratulations to us. Happy Founders Day. And thank you to all of my Facebook friends and all of my friends in general that have been, sending the love, and all of my fellow sorors and all of those that are in a part of the D9 that have, sent their congratulations and happy Founders Day well wishes. I greatly appreciate that. So tonight it looks like we are going to be live just here on YouTube. I'll find a way to share it to my Facebook friends and all of my Purpose friends because, like I said, we haven't had the Purpose Conversation livecast in over a year. And this is season two. For the past year, I have been learning how to do this whole thing as just a regular podcast. And I was successful. I did a whole season, guys. If you haven't checked it out, I am going to say, please take the time to go and check out the Purpose Conversation on Spotify. You'll hear past shows and you'll end up hearing this show as well. Because, like I said, I have an amazing guest tonight. I am going to be having a guest co-host only twice a month. So this is like really huge. So twice a month, in addition to the regular audio podcast segments, you'll also be able to come into the room, as I say, come on into the room, and watch this live broadcast of the Purpose Conversation. Speaking of tonight's guest, oh my goodness, where do I start? I think of her and I instantly think queen. And I instantly think queen because she is a queen. I guess we all are queens, right? But you'll know a little bit more. Her name is Cynthia, aka Cindy. She's going to say, call me Cindy. Cindy Cassidy. Cindy and I have been friends for a very long time, but that's not why I asked her to come onto the show because I got lots of amazing friends. But this particular friend, she has been so incredibly inspiring. And you guys know that I am like drawn to purpose, like white on rice, honey. I am on to purpose. And everything about her absolutely exudes purpose. And so when I had a conversation with her, I was like, hey, Cindy, I know that you're busy and I know that you've been doing some stuff, and we're going to talk about the stuff that she's been doing, but I'd love for you to be able to come onto the Purpose Conversation live podcast. And I explained what it was that I was doing. And she was like, yeah, I'll do it. And so I'm so thankful for her yes. but she is an absolutely just a phenomenal woman. Oh my goodness. Now, Cindy, Cindy is a 56-year-old, and honey, she don't look 50 nothing. She's a 50-year-old wife, mother, yaya. Okay, okay. We love our yayas. She's a mud runner, a triathlete, a student, a bariatric patient. She's a writer, so y'all know I'm going to be on her, right? She's a Zumba instructor, and she just so happens to be Miss Georgia World 50s, who is on the purpose-filled journey to create legacy. Cindy states, our impact on society does not end after we turn 50. Okay? My mission is to remind women that they matter and have purpose. They have talents and wisdom that our younger ladies need to see and hear. We have purpose. And with that purpose, we will create legacy. Those are her words, and those sound like absolutely purpose filled words. Now, you guys know exactly how we do it. Let's do a drum roll, please, and a round of applause as we welcome to the Purpose Conversation stage none other than Cindy Cassidy. Woo! Woo! All fired up.
All fired up.
All fired up, girlfriend. Welcome to the Purpose Conversation.
Thank you.
Cindy.
I am honored to be with you.
Thank you. And I'm going to say again, thank you for your yes, because it is Sunday evening. You could be doing anything right about now. You are a yaya, first of all. And so I know that you have some little ones that could be around and things like that. And there are other things that you could do on a Sunday evening and spending time with your loved ones. But you decided to take some time to come and spend with me and my purpose friends, and we welcome you and thank you for that.
Well, I tell you what, when you said purpose, I was like, I'm there. I'm there.
Yeah. Purpose just kind of speaks to you like that. You know what? I always like to start the show because sometimes some of my guests that come on, people, I do all the promos, and it's so funny because you were like, ooh, Juva, I like the promo that you did. Oh, that was cute. Yeah. But people usually, it like creates a buzz. And I think those are like so fun to do. But people start asking, oh, now who is this lady? Who is this person? Who? You know what? Let's kick it off. Just briefly tell my purpose friends, who is Cindy Cassidy? Where is she from? Tell us, who is Cindy Cassidy?
Well, I was born in New Bern, North Carolina originally. And
Oh,
my dad was a truck driver. So we moved a lot. So it was almost like being in a military family. And my mama was a Church of God preacher's kid.
okay.
So I grew up with a Catholic parent and a Pentecostal parent.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
it can be pretty hilarious in our family. So so that you have a sense of humor, but being able to move and have to fit in everywhere you go, I think helped me bloom in my personality. Because you're either going to be in a box or you're just going to be wide open. I was wide open, and
Okay.
then I married my husband Dwayne. We've been married over 30 years, and we have two kids, Taryn and Rachel. And
Hey, girls.
he went active duty, and so we were moving a lot, and he would be deployed or TDY. And I turned out to be one of those people who smiled through life no matter what's going on. But what
Mhm.
people didn't know is when I was alone, I would eat.
Okay.
And so that was my emotional crutch, my coping mechanism is eating. Well, I was an athlete, like you said. When I was in high school, played softball, volleyball, and then even as an adult, got in leagues for volleyball and softball. And then I found triathlons and I do mud runs. And even in the 230s and 40s, I was still doing these things.
Two
I didn't
thirties
let
and
my
240 pounds.
pounds. Yes, my highest weight got up to 265 in 2020. And I started having health issues,
Okay.
once I turned 50. And they had started putting in bariatric consults for me in
Okay.
2005. And
Uh-huh.
I ignored it. I'm like, nope, nope. And that's part of my personality. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. And I wasn't obedient.
Mm.
When you get sick enough and you tear your knees, both your knees, and you're diabetic, and they just start listing, and I had multiple breast cancer scares. So once I got to that point that I was like asking that question, how sick do you have to get before you receive help?
Mm.
That's when everything changed. And when we tie that to purpose, when you're very sick, you don't feel good, you're taking naps so you can make it through the rest of the day after work,
Mm-hmm.
you're not creating purpose. You're not living your purpose, and you're sure not creating legacy, or the legacy you are creating isn't the one you want to own.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, December 29th, 2021 was the beginning of stepping into my purpose. And that's when I
Okay.
had gastric bypass.
Oh, and I want us to definitely dig into that. One of the things that you said though, about you being an athlete. Now, although I didn't know you in high school, we were rather younger adults, at least 20 years ago. Gosh,
Yeah.
Cynthia, has it been about 15 years at least? Yeah, because
Well,
we've
baby girl
watched our
was baby
teenagers.
girl. Baby girl was baby girl.
Okay, and baby girl is now 18. So, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Because you think about when you handed her down to Dwayne,
Yeah.
she was, yeah,
She was a
like a
baby.
hockey
She
kid.
was the church's baby.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's been at least 18 years we know. But one of the things that always just kind of stuck out to me, you talk about being an athlete, and I just kind of watched, via social media once, my family and I moved away and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I was like, I remember saying, "Oh my gosh, Cindy is like my freaking shero. What the heck?" I mean, because you were out there doing things that you were doing all of these mud runs and all this stuff on bikes, swimming in daggone lakes and doing all kind of obstacle courses and
Mhm.
things like that. And I was just amazed. Um,
Yes.
so I just wanted to tell you that.
Thank
And
you.
you mentioned something about purpose and how having surgery was the starting journey of your purpose. But let's backtrack a little bit.
Mhm.
When you were a little girl, and this is something I always
Yes.
ask everybody, when you were a little girl, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Um, a Charlie's Angel. I wanted to be a police officer. I did. I
Okay,
wanted to be a police officer or a rock star.
okay,
But
I love it.
I, 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 I can do the hair of a rock star, but I don't really have the voice of a rock star.
Oh, honey, I know, I get it.
Yeah. So the extremes.
I love it. But I love the fact that of all police officers, that you would want to be one of Charlie's Angels because they were absolutely beautiful, and we glued ourselves to the television every week, checking out the Charlie's Angels, and they were
Yeah.
bad and they were women and they were kicking butt
They
and
were
they were
kicking.
getting the bad guys.
And did you see the car that Jill and Chris drove? It was a Cobra 2, white with the blue stripe. Let's
Yes,
get one of those cars. That's a Charlie's Angels.
I know that's right. Well, then shoot, I totally understand. I'd be a Charlie's Angel too. I absolutely love it. Okay. So when you were little, you wanted to be a Charlie's Angel or a rock
Mhm.
star. And the reason why I ask is because it always, for some reason, when we talk about purpose and like vocation, what
Mhm.
it is that we're doing,
Yes.
some way, somehow, the two always kind of relate. And so we'll dig into that. But you mentioned surgery being the start of your purpose. Let's talk about purpose a little bit.
Mhm.
What does purpose look like to you, Cindy?
Purpose to me is this thing that is in our spirit, man, whether we realize it or not. And we'll hear that voice back in here, and we know, like, I heard the out loud voice back in 1998 at Fort
Mm,
Belvoir at church. And I heard this voice go, "Your ministry is in fitness." And I laughed and I told Dwayne, I'm like, "My ministry's in fitness? What's fitness?" I didn't have
wow.
any clue in 1998. But
Wow.
to do all the things I wanted to do, I had to learn to be obedient.
Oh
And
yeah.
I've ran for a long time for my purpose. And no matter how many sports I did, or no matter how good I could do in the gym, I wasn't hitting my purpose because I was running from my purpose. And that's one thing. It's easy to run when you're not ready to be obedient because you didn't get to season 2 of the purpose conversation by winging it and by doing it
No.
half. You were obedient and you had to do all the steps to get where you're going.
Amen. I sure did.
I wasn't ready, and I no matter I mean 6 consultations by the doctors, and I
Wow.
hadn't even got to my highest weight. They just started watching my blood work and things were going downhill. But I
Mm,
was like, "No, no, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. I'm not lazy." And I had all of this stereotypical thoughts and myths that unfortunately are attached to bariatric surgery. I was
yeah.
living that lie. And it
Yeah.
wasn't I got to the rock bottom that, okay, I would go to the meeting and learn about it.
Mm,
And I think the sad part is how many of us become so sick and tired and caught up in our life that we never ever get to our purpose point. We don't
mm.
ever uncover and step into purpose because you're existing, you're not living.
Yeah. And there's a huge difference in existing and living. Now, you mentioned something about how you hit the rock bottom, and I find the rock bottom very interesting in all on its own. And I've even said that it's always at the rock bottom where God meets us because we are like at the
Mhm.
end of ourselves, right?
Yes,
And so that
yes,
it's usually at the rock bottom where he comes in and then he's able to kind of speak to us because he has our attention. And for some
big
people,
attention.
their rock bottom can look so different. You may have
Mhm.
that person that's their rock bottom, unfortunately, may be in a prison cell.
Yes.
Their rock bottom may be in this daggone hospital bed or sitting in
Mhm.
front of this doctor's office with this doctor's
Yes.
report, and it's like, hey,
Mhm.
you have XYZ and you have 22 days to get it together. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yes.
Your rock bottom, exactly what was that, and how did it propel you into purpose? What was it that was revealed to you that you needed to do? Because I know that we mentioned about how um and it's funny too because I've had lots of purpose conversations. Never ever have I had anyone to say or to put the two together that our obedience is
Mhm.
tied directly to our purpose. And
Mhm.
that is so like nail on the head. But what was that rock bottom, Cindy? What was it, that thing? And you're like, I know it.
Right.
Yes,
Rock
God.
bottom was
What is it
rock
that you
bottom
want to do?
was ending up in the ER at Fort Gordon,
Mm,
and I was having a hard time breathing, and I was sicker than a dog. And it was right before they started testing for COVID.
mm,
And I mean, I was coughing, I couldn't breathe, and the doctor's like, I don't feel good about sending her home. So they put me in the hospital.
mm.
And I would cough to the point it would just almost knock me out, And one of the nurses came in, one of the young soldiers, and she said that was the most painful sounds we heard last night,
Oh,
you
wow.
know. And they ended up sending me home, and later on, they started diagnosing people with COVID, and they were like, "We know you had COVID." So I had like 5 months of being on prednisone to keep me breathing,
Oh, wow.
and I got up to 265 pounds, and they were like, "We're destroying your immune system." So fast forward, I started working. I was like, "Oh, I gotta get this weight off. Gotta get this weight off." And finally, I was like, 6 consults. Just go to Super Tuesday and find out what bariatric surgery is.
Yeah.
And then when you start finding out, that obesity and diabetes, because I went from pre-diabetic to diabetic, these things are going to kill me.
Mm,
Get it
mm.
together, and it's hard. Like, I was existing, I was not living. And
Right.
so I had dreams of purpose. I was too sick to live purpose, to be
Mm.
honest. I was just too sick, and so that was the moment that I was like, you will die before you're 60 if you do not get this together. Get
Right.
over your ego, get over what people may say, because so many people let friends, family, and talk them out of doing it. They'll go, "Well, don't be lazy. Put down the fork. Do this, do that." And sometimes your medical issues get to the point that if you're going to live, you're going to reach out and you're going to say, "Yeah, I'll let you help me." And then you better get ready to work.
Right. Right. And I want to tell you that I'm so proud of you. I mean, I'm not, I hate that you had to get sick and that you even had to get your rock bottom like that. Um, but we do have to be pushed sometimes to that place in order for us to get an inkling. So you got the surgery
Yes.
was successful. You did the work, you're doing the work, right?
Mhm. Every day.
All of a sudden, girl, I started seeing videos and all these different Instagram posts, and all of a sudden, Cindy was taking all these fabulous pictures, and she was looking good. I mean, you're always beautiful. You're beautiful anyway. But then you did something, and I was like, "Whoa, what is this?" Miss Georgia World 50s.
Yeah.
What pageant is this, and how did this come about? Let's talk about that. And I know, because I
It's
know that's part of purpose. What
yes.
happened there?
It was it's Miss Senior Worlds, and they have a 50s category, 60s, and 70s. So we
Okay.
all compete in our own category. And it's glamorous. I love it.
I
But
saw the pictures, girl.
when I've never done a pageant. And so I was like, when I started living, I came out of existing into living. I was
Mm,
like, Lord, I want to give back. I want to play it forward because so many wonderful people have poured into me. And the one thing I can say about the bariatric community, I tied into them because mentally you need that support. So
mm.
it's like I found different podcasts, and Kelly and Mel, and then Jason and Natalie and April, they were helping me. And then Dr. Cribbins, who's not even my doctor in Texas,
Oh,
he was
wow.
giving me information. So this community was pouring into me. And I was like, I got to give back. I got to give back. And I was like, Lord, what do I do? And I'm on Facebook one day and I'm scrolling, and Miss Senior World came up. And I'm like, Lord, you're funny.
I
It's
love it.
funny. Because, I'm not a pageant girl. I'm a jock. I get muddy and dirty and I don't do that stuff. But it was on me, and I kept researching them, but it was on me that I had to do this. And I was like,
Okay.
I don't know anything. I don't understand pageants. It's foreign to me. But it ties into being obedient and going into my purpose. And if you
Yeah,
want to
let's go
create
into that.
legacy, yes.
I absolutely love that. And that makes like perfect sense. I love the fact that you you kind of stumbled upon this, but it was like a knowing, like I know
Mhm.
that this is something. What was it about this particular pageant? Now that you know the pageant has gone on, and and what was it in that you were shown about your specific purpose? Why did you have to do this particular pageant?
This was the pageant, and the thing that I love about this pageant is that they're not ashamed to say, we love God and we're going
Okay.
to follow our values. So I felt
Yes.
safe going in there, but I knew my purpose was to go in there and represent and break stigmas about bariatric surgery.
Okay. And
But
I would think that would be kind of difficult to do in a pageant world, only because you think of all of the different stereotypes that
mhm,
people that have this surgery that it even have. I mean, I know of people that have the surgery, and I'm like, girl, you look good. Why are you ashamed to say this?
mhm.
Why is this so taboo? But go on, girl, go on.
It is taboo, and there's a lot of people that have surgery that do not share their journey because of the backlash. And I shared my pre-journey and in my journey, and there has been backlash, and it's okay, because I'm not going to shut up, and I'm going to keep talking, and people will say stuff, and it's easier to go with myths and what you heard than dive in,
Yeah.
and for the research. But at the same time, when God puts you out there for with a purpose, you just better know you're gonna there's gonna be backlash. There is, and it's okay, because I've had 5 women reach out that I've talked to one on one about surgery, the good, the bad, the ugly, and that you better get that mindset ready because this is a forever. You're going to have buyer's remorse some days. Mentally, it gets hard, especially if you abuse food, which I did, and
Mhm.
if you're an emotional eater. You have to learn new coping mechanisms, and that was one thing that when I was talking to April, this podcast on Berry Nation, I was like, why am I weepy? Why am I crying? Why is all of this going on? And she's like, you're going through the grief cycle because you're
Oh,
breaking up with your most toxic relationship. And I was like, holy cow, because I had never looked at it that way. I
wow.
knew that I had food issues and emotional eating issues, but I didn't realize those were all tied together. But this I knew what my purpose was. I knew that I had to go on and be bold.
Okay.
Well, I
Bold.
didn't. I didn't. I I
What do you
went.
mean? What do you mean you didn't, girl? What happened?
I made the decision. I had my paperwork done by a coach that helped me, and I do not blame her because I have to remember God gave me the word, not her the word. She
Mm,
knows the pageant system, and she said, I really don't want you to put this in there. If they ask, you can talk about it and put it in there, but I don't want any biases because there can be biases in society. Well,
yeah.
the thing is the reason I can't blame her is God didn't give her the word. God gave me the word.
Give it to
And I
you.
was supposed to be bold and not be silent. When I went into my interview, I mean, I love working with the VFW and with veterans, which is
Mhm.
an awesome thing. But see, that's not my purpose. I
Gotcha.
knew my purpose. That wasn't Cindy. That was something I do that I love. I love it. I love serving our veterans because I have my own veteran.
Right.
But that's the difference between when you are talking purpose compared to what you love. I did good with some of the judges and I didn't do, I did average with two and I didn't do good with one,
Okay.
which, I look back on it now and I'm like, you weren't 100% authentic to your purpose.
Oh, Cindy.
And so if
Mm.
we're called to do something and deliver, I didn't deliver. I did not deliver. I went in with an amazing gown. I mean, I checked all the boxes.
Yeah.
And my queen sisters, they were like, dang, I didn't even make it into the top 5.
Oh,
I did
wow.
not make it into the top 5, but now I can look back and I can go, you did not do your Esther preparation. You were not in 100%.
Like Queen
You
Esther?
were, you did not. Yes, because the queen, she knew she was not supposed to take herself in front of the king, unless you're invited. You can be put to death back then.
Mm.
But she knew she had her purpose and she had to do it. So
Right.
she boldly went in front of him and presented herself.
Right.
I talked to all of my queen sisters about bariatric surgery and had some great conversations with people, and they talked about their surgery. Not a single one of us talked about it. We were all quiet.
Ooh.
So I cannot, when I talked with the director, I was like, this was not my year. I did not deserve the crown. Even though I came in with the right stuff, I didn't deserve the crown because I did not fulfill my purpose. I was not 100% Esther preparation. I went in 90. And it's all
Wow.
because I didn't serve my purpose.
Wow. Ooh.
Yeah.
And this is something because oftentimes, when we're talking purpose, we come on, especially on platforms like this, and we're talking about how we nailed it. We hit the mark,
Oh, yeah.
right? We got the 100. But in reality, a lot of times we may slightly miss that mark,
Yeah.
and we've never discussed obedience. And
Yeah.
it's so funny because I'm always like, obedience is key,
Mhm.
but obedience is connected to our purpose. Now, you say how part of your purpose is to create a legacy.
Yes.
Share briefly, what do you mean by that, Cindy?
I've started Legacy 414.
Okay.
And legacy, I never thought about legacy until my mama was in the hospital
Mhm.
January of
Yeah.
2012, and she was in the last stage of breast cancer.
Mhm.
And there was one night we were talking, and her name is Naomi Ruth. And I was like,
Mhm.
Mama, what's your legacy? What do you want to be remembered for? And without hesitation, my mama goes, I taught the babies to pray. She
Oh,
knew. She
I
knew
love that.
she was a Sunday school teacher. She taught the babies to pray. And that was her purpose.
And that's so powerful.
Yeah. And so at her funeral, I talked about legacy and I talked about my mama knew her legacy. Some people can say it's simple. Some people are like, what? What about changing the world? But when you teach the babies to pray, you are changing the world.
You most
You
certainly
know?
are.
And
Absolutely.
so she knew her purpose like that. She didn't have to think. It just rolled right out of her mouth. So at her funeral, I talked about purpose. And I'm like, what do you want to be remembered for? Naomi Ruth is remembered for, she taught the babies to pray. And people
Yeah.
just love mama. What is your legacy? And after that, I was just like, I can't handle it, Lord. And I packed away legacy. I didn't want to talk about it, think about it, nothing. Then when I signed up for Miss, I gave them my application for Miss Senior World. They check out who you are and if you're a fit, and then
Mhm.
they will give you a title if you fit who they what they need. And
Yeah.
I became Miss Georgia World's 50.
Okay.
Then God started waking me up like in the middle of the night, and I would put notes in my phone, and then I would read them the next morning. And it was about creating legacy and
Okay.
about looking, we can take somebody like Esther and where she started and what she went through, an orphan and all of these things. And she went through this whole year of preparation to become the queen. And she's a
Right.
Jew. They didn't know that at the moment, but she
Mm-hmm.
became the queen. And then you see her legacy is still celebrated today.
Yes.
And it's all because she was bold and she wasn't silent. She moved into her purpose. And you can pick out different people in the Bible and you can look at how these women moved into
Right.
their purpose. But it all started with obedience. Cousin Mordecai, I always say Malachi, my grandson, Mordecai,
Mordecai.
he sent that message to her that if she stayed silent, her and her father's house will die and her people, if she's silent. And if she's silent, God's going to find somebody else to do it and deliver
Ooh.
them. And then she's gone. So I just want to tell people, if you know that purpose or you're praying, or maybe you're just like, purpose? What do you mean purpose? Stop being silent. Start
Mm.
being bold. Those things that scare you, that you're scared to step into, whether it's going back to school, writing that book, starting that company, you know, joining a pageant, doing a 5K, those things
Oh,
you're
girl.
terrified to do, that's your first step. That's your first step into your purpose. Because in 1998 in Alexandria, Virginia, I did not know what a ministry in fitness was.
Mm-hmm.
But I just got my Zumba license. Um,
Yes.
I'm still practicing the steps because, I've never had a dance class, but I did learn my first dance routine at Miss Senior World. But
I love it.
I know, but I'm also next month, I'm going to Charleston, South Carolina, for Senior Gold. It's a
Okay.
gold Zumba class to teach a lower impact. But it's being obedient and stepping in, even when you're uncomfortable.
I love it. I love it. Being obedient, stepping in even when you're uncomfortable. You've dropped some nuggets. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's do this thing where we're going to complete the sentence, okay?
Okay.
Let me see here. First thing I want you to repeat. I want you to complete. For fun, I like to.
Ooh, drive out in the country with my husband. We have the best times just driving. I mean, I enjoy that, and driving around the lake,
Uh-huh.
Clarksville here. Oh, I do. That is fun. That
Do
is
you
really
like to
fun.
drive or do you like to ride? Because girl, I can't stand driving. I don't mind the riding,
No,
but
no, I got a Ram 1500. I love driving my truck.
see, you want to, yeah. Well, you did say you were from New Bern, North Carolina. So you did say New Bern, right?
New Bern. I was born in
Yeah.
New Bern.
So I mean, I know at least now that's not too far from Jacksonville, North Carolina, correct?
Well, you got like New Bern, and then you have Morehead City.
Okay.
Morehead
Because
City's down here.
I'm just thinking, and I know that it's kind of country. So I know that you're probably used to being out there,
I
kind of riding around and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty
love it.
interesting. I love that. Okay. So a goal I'd like to accomplish in this lifetime is,
Finishing my bachelor's degree.
woo! Well, you can do it.
Yes. 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 I
Oh,
mean, I'm only a little over a year. So, yeah.
okay.
By the end of
Well,
next year, it should be done.
well, let me tell you something. Let me give you a piece of word of encouragement. I have a cousin. Hey there, cousin Evelyn, Evelyn Johnson. I'm shouting you out because I'm so proud of her. But my cousin Evelyn, she is truly our senior, and she graduated just last year. She completed and got her bachelor's degree, and so
Yay!
I'm like all proud. So I'm very glad to hear that. So you keep going, girl.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, the person or thing that inspires me is, and share why.
My mama's strength
Mm,
inspired me, you know, just through my life because I was she would say before my grandma died, her mama, I went to LA in 1986
uh-huh.
and it was rock and roll and I was this good girl out there, but I had the best time, right?
Hmm.
And seeing all these bands and all of this. And my mama, she's like, we're praying for you because we know you're stupid.
Oh my goodness.
And it was just, she was that woman that when we lived in the apartments when I was like 13, you have all types of people in apartments,
Yeah.
and we had this high dollar call girl that my mama didn't like. But then
Oh.
we had some prostitutes who had a pimp who my mama treated them so good. And so when they saw my mama at the pool, they would go to the pool. If my mama was doing laundry, they would go do their laundry because they knew Miss Ruth was going to treat them good and they could just sit down and talk with my mama.
Wow.
And the my mom, no matter where you were in your life, she loved on you. And she was like, these women are in a horrible spot,
Mm,
and they loved my mama so much that when my mama had a miscarriage and the ambulance had to come, I'm crying in the park. And it was those two women who came to me and comforted me.
wow.
Nobody else came. It was those two women. And so seeing how my mama treated people, she might not like what you're doing,
Yeah.
but she's not going to hurt you. And the reason she didn't really care for the high dollar girl is she put on a show
Mm,
and lived this high life knowing things that she was doing, because I babysat her kids and cleaned her house, when I
mhm.
babysat. My mom was like, no more.
Yeah.
And it was the heart issue, I think, for my mama, and so I've never forgot that. And my mama was never too good to do this or do that. There was a time where the family needed money and my mama went and cleaned rooms. And
Gotcha.
it upset people that my mama was cleaning rooms. And my mom's like, I'm no different than you.
Yeah.
But that's who Miss Ruth was. And so that's inspiring to me. I want that Naomi Ruth spirit of how I treat people, no matter where you're coming from. And yes, maybe I don't agree with you, but I'm not going to tear you down because I don't believe like you do, or I'm not happy with what I'm seeing you do because it's destructive to you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tear you down.
That is so. Yeah, I think I'm inspired by your mama too. And you know what? I can tell you definitely have that same character just about yourself, and you always have. And not only that, and speaking of just kind of legacy itself, I've seen, I mean, because I know your girls, I know your children, and I know of your grandbabies. I haven't had the opportunity to meet the grands, but I know I can see that character. That character has always been a part of you, and it's most definitely a part of your girls. So it's like, hey, Miss Naomi Ruth, she poured it into you, and you in turn receive that, and out you poured into your children, and that is absolutely beautiful. I'm so glad that she inspired you, because she's inspired me, and because you inspired me. And that's just, I really love that. And I love her name.
I know. It's just, there's just something, I mean, because there's times, you think back to when you were younger. I think
Yeah.
about back about my, my LA days or this or that in my life. And my mom would go, and I'm like, I mean, and some of the things, we would laugh about now that I'm grown. And it's like the time that, when you're a teenager, you're not supposed to be drinking, but you sneak home at 3 o'clock in the morning and you really think you're so ninja that you can quietly climb up the
Oh, girl.
stairs
Honey,
in the
yes.
dark. But then
Yes.
you could feel the presence at the top of the
Yes.
stairs. That one time I just laid on the stairs. I just laid like this, but even in those, not with it times that she showed me mercy and grace,
Well, thank God, honey.
and it was that love and not
Right.
that judgment. And I think that's what
Right.
it is, and I watched her, and this coming back, I watched my mama be obedient,
Yeah.
and it led to purpose and it led to legacy,
I
you
love
know,
it.
because she didn't have time when we were in Wichita, Kansas to be teaching Sunday school because my oldest brother's autistic and they didn't have a lot of knowledge about autism back then. So she had that going on. She worked at Woolco
Hmm.
and just life, but she would sit there and get her Sunday school plans together so she could teach those babies.
That's right. I love it.
So yeah,
And teaching the babies, and then not only that, teaching those that were babe like, just thinking about,
yeah.
the women that you mentioned that were in the apartment. It is yeah, oh, this has been this has been so phenomenal. You've given out lots of nuggets, but what is the one thing that you'd like for someone to know who's pursuing not just purpose, but let's say that they are pursuing pageantry? I
Mhm.
probably mispronounced the word.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
because you said this was a brand new thing for you.
Mhm.
So somebody that wanted to get into the pageant world, because honey, that Miss Senior world actually
Ah,
sounds kind of
so
interesting.
fabulous. It's phenomenal, and they're taking applications for this year, and it's growing. I mean, and this is one thing is when I think last year was year 3, and so this
Yeah.
is year 4. They're just growing like this. You just see it. We've had to go to a bigger venue for this year, but if you're going to do a pageant, step out, get out of your way, because you can become the mountain. And I'm a very black and white person. I don't have a good gray area.
Hmm.
So I'm very, what do I got to do? What do I got to do? What do I got
Yeah.
to do? That's me. But I started doing my research. I did get a coach in Columbia, South Carolina, and Fit to Sparkle. And it was important because there's things I didn't know. I didn't know how to walk. There's actually a walk, and so my coach taught me how to walk. And then, girl, I didn't know what a pageant dress was.
Uh-huh.
I started like sending pictures, and they were like, no, no, that's a prom dress. That's a homecoming dress,
Oh,
but
oh.
there's a look, and you can get the look not for outrageous amounts of money. Like the dress I have on now is what I wore to interview, and I got it at Marshall's like for $29.99. You
Okay.
know,
Okay.
I just decided to spend the money on my pageant gown. Because I never went to prom. So it just was an amazing feeling. My Queen's Banquet gown, I got to do modeling at the Southeastern Expo, and I walked the runway, and I ended up getting my gown at the end of the night for the banquet. $80, because they just didn't want to have to take it back to their salon. And so
Okay.
there's ways to do a pageant without spending tons of money, but the thing that when you're going to do your platform or your charity, really take a time and sit back and
Okay.
don't think, okay, what do they want to hear? What should I do to make them like me and I pick the right thing? That's your purpose.
Mm.
I should have been bold and obedient and just walked in there and say, you know what? I'm here. I'm going to break the stigma of bariatric surgery. Let's go. When you go in, you just have to be you. Don't
I
look at
love
what you think they want.
authentically you. I love that. Well, I love the fact that now you've had several platforms and you have the opportunity on different levels now to talk about surgery and to break the freaking stigma, you know?
Yes.
I think that it was very brave of you to put your health first, and to think of you, and to be around a little bit longer and to do this. And I absolutely love it. So, what's next for Cindy? What can we look forward to?
Well, I'm finishing my second Zumba training, and then I will be doing a triathlon this year with Deborah.
I know
And
Deborah, the smiley
and
one.
I probably will be having skin removal because I do have a lot of excess skin,
Okay,
which is starting to cause issues.
okay,
But as Rachel, my youngest, put it, she goes, I know it's an issue. She goes, but would you rather have it full or loose? And I was like, no, I don't want it full no more, so stop complaining. But it does cause problems.
okay.
And then, of course, I'm headed back to Biloxi, Mississippi in October, end of October, to compete at Miss Senior World because I am Miss Georgia World's 50, 20, for this year.
Yes.
So I'm going to go back and I took my feedback and I watched the video and there was things that I saw that I was like, girl, you got to clean that up, and you have to be bold. You can't be silent, and you have to be authentic. You have to be you. You're Cindy Lynn. That's who you are.
I
So
love
just
it.
go in. Just go all in. So this is 100% Esther preparation going into Miss Senior World. I gave them 90%, and that wasn't good enough. And they deserved better. And I owed it to Cindy.
You
I
owe
owed
it to
it to me.
Cindy, and you
I
and
owed
you
it to
you you're gonna have, and everybody doesn't necessarily have that second opportunity
no, no,
oftentimes to go in, well, whatever it is that he tells you to do, I know that you'll
do
do it.
it.
I know that you'll
and
do it.
and there's one thing that if I can just say, because we talked about bariatric surgery,
Sure.
to those who've thought about it, but they've heard, oh, you're taking the easy way out. This is not easy. This is so much harder to do because once you have the surgery, you got this tiny little tummy
Mhm.
and you have to make a lifestyle change because if you don't, you will gain weight back. It's not a forever magic wand.
Right.
And don't let others' opinions and statements, especially when you are dealing with serious health issues, diabetes, high risk
Mhm.
for cancer, hypertension, heart disease. Come on, you got to be bold and you got to step out. And if you don't want to talk about it, just have that little small inner circle, your safe place, and they'll be there for you. You don't have to tell everybody else, and that's okay. It's okay if you don't want to talk about it, but take care of you because you have purpose and you got to step into it, but you got to be living to step into your purpose.
Thank you for sharing that with them. Thank you so much. That was important. And that
Mhm.
was a part of you being obedient again too. I thank you. Thank you for that. Um, wow. Cindy, how can we follow you and how can we stay connected, follow you along your journey? And typically with the purpose conversation, we'll have lots of people that will view after the show. So they may have questions, they may want to get in touch with you. Um, how do we follow you?
Well, I'm really active on Instagram, and my Instagram name is Blue Eyed Mafia. Don't let it scare
Blue Eye Mafia?
Mafia, Blue Eyed Mafia, and I'll give you the backstory on it. When my
Yeah, we're
husband
like,
was
okay, wait a minute,
in,
what's going on?
when he was in Iraq, he was in Baghdad for 15 months. There was one night that Taryn and Rachel and I started taking pictures, and we took all these crazy funny pictures together, and then we sent them to Dwayne as the Blue Eyed Mafia. And
Ah,
because we all have blue eyes,
yes,
so we just became the Blue Eyed Mafia.
I love it.
So,
I
so
think
yeah,
that's your Charlie's Angels type of thing coming out.
there
You and
you
your
go.
girls.
But
Okay.
follow me on Instagram. You can DM me if you have questions about, surgery and stuff. I'm just straight up honest with you. And you'll also be following my journey back to Miss Senior Worlds. And if you have questions about the pageant, please get a hold of me. I'm more than happy to, you know, give you information because I tell you what, meeting the women that I met in their 50s, in their 60s, and in their 70s, oh my gosh, it was just amazing. And we had a
Oh,
high tea, and oh my gosh, the Queen's dinner. It's just an amazing experience. And the thing that I want to be another break the stigma on is pageants
okay.
because I fell into that one just like I did with bariatric surgery. And once I got into pageants and I started meeting these women, and when you start learning the organizations they're starting, the nonprofits, the volunteering, the books, all these things that these women are doing, I'm like, holy cow, these are some amazing doing women, And the
Wow.
thing that I've learned, it's easier. Some of the people who likes to chomp the hardest on people are the ones who are sitting there not doing. So they chomp
Mhm,
on the doers,
mhm.
and I've learned that because these are some amazing women and I've made some amazing friends that I just value them. And yeah, I wouldn't have done that without going to a pageant.
Wow. Well, we look forward to the journey. Me personally, I wouldn't mind coming along and maybe seeing if, I could be a part of, get media coverage or do something. I'm just saying, I'm going to put it out there in the atmosphere, maybe do a little something. But it's been absolutely beautiful speaking with you, Cindy. I thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk to me and my purpose friends. And purpose friends, if you guys, I see that some of you are viewing on YouTube, so we just want to say hello and recognize your presence. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for your support. If you have any questions of Cindy or myself or about pageants, about surgery, about purpose, please
And
feel free to
legacy,
legacy. If you have any questions,
obedience, purpose, and legacy.
that's right. Obedience, purpose, legacy, because they're all connected. Um,
Yes.
Feel free to leave comments and share in the show notes and share the purpose conversation with somebody. And anyway, I think that's going to be it for us, Cindy. I think we can
No,
call it a wrap. But
we
this has
got
been,
a
I
heart, Jack.
know.
We got
Yes.
a heart.
Oh, wonderful. Well,
I appreciate you and thank you so much. It was an honor.
oh, now I see several. What's going on? Oh, you're welcome. They said thank you. This has
Yes.
been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much again, Cindy. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Purpose Friends. I just want to let my Purpose Friends know, all of you guys know, that I will be back on in 2 weeks with another amazing, inspiring guest, and we will go ahead and end tonight and share the show and peace and blessings. And as always, y'all know how we do. I want to tell you to please continue to seek, to discover, and to pursue your purpose on purpose. You've just listened to the Purpose Conversation. Good night, everyone.